today, this is the agenda for the day. I'm not going to bother reading through all this. We'll go through them. I'm going to handle dark theme, and then we'll switch to the other presenters for the other less important. So I know there's a lot of hype about dark theme and everything, but I know what you guys are really excited about. So this is a request that I've gotten for many years, and we're finally able to do it in 22.1, and I'm really excited to show it to you today. So if you type in this command into your TCL console into 22.1, then you can finally temporarily change the background color. It won't save across sessions, but this is a good start. So you can, and it's also classic, only supported, 56 colors of graphical background color. We have full kind of RGB support. So I know that's what you guys are really excited about. So we finally were able to do that. Took a little bit longer. I apologize, but finally available for you guys. Get that classic HyperWorks look that you've always desired. On a more serious note, we do now fully have dark theme. So if you go to preferences, you can just change your theme to dark. It's not going to be default or anything, but you can choose it from preferences. And this is full support in all the HyperWorks products, as well as CFD, NVH, and HyperLife. In 22, Inspire was supported, so now all the Inspire and HyperWorks products are now supported. And it's not just background color and icons and things. It's also all the dialogues in those tools, panels if they're still being used, manipulators, and the legends. So that's why it took so long for us to get through everything. But now everything is fully supported. We support all the things now. So I'm really excited for you guys to use that. No longer need. A lot of people have been using it with the environment variable. Environment variable is no longer needed. Just if you're using .1, you can switch over to that and start using it, and let me know what you guys think about it. But I wanted to show a quick demo. I know dark theme is important and all, but there's something else I wanted to show you about I'm going back to the background color change, because dark theme, you have to have a restart, to change the theme. But this is on the fly, so you can do cool stuff like this. So this is the future of HyperWorks. This is what all the kids want these days. This is what I'm really excited about. Oh, I think it broke. But yeah, it's full RGB support for background color change. And yeah, it's though while this is running, it's doing a little loop of different colors. But while it's running, you can't obviously rotate your model because it's just a looping script. But anyway, if anyone wants the RGB script, I can send it over to you. But yeah, full dark theme support. Let me know what you guys think, and that's it for me.
Right. So our next presenter is Christopher. Christopher, can you please share your screen?
Yeah. Okay. So I've just got a very small one today. This is the TrueView panel replacement. I'll show a quick demo here just after this slide. If you're familiar with the panel, we've sort of reworked TrueView into a new tool, and it uses some of our new technology, specifically the Snap engine. And what it does is align the normal at your cursor on the model with the screen normal. That's pretty much what the TrueView panel used to do, but with the N1, N2, N3 selector. We've added a few more options in the new tool to make things a little bit easier to use, and we've coordinated it with the view cube. So let me just show how it works. Okay, so you can find TrueView in the search tool. And the reason I told you that is because it's a little bit hidden where it is. It's down here. It's in this group of tools. So show hide, GeoMesh, visualization, and TrueView all sort of belong in the same block here. But if you forget that, you can always just type it into the search. I did Control F to get up to the search. Once you're in here, we've got some workflow help that tells you pretty much how to use it. We don't have too many keyboard shortcuts in here, but the ones we do, I'll tell you about. And then you're sort of off and running. So it's point and click. You can click anywhere on the model and it's using our Snap engine. So with geometry, we have many more snaps available. I think this element-only model, so we've got a little less knowledge about the way the normals are oriented. But after you've clicked, we take a first guess based on our snap engine, and once you're in this position, you can sort of use the manipulator to finish the true view to get your part aligned. We've got a fit capability, which fits the model and then fits your true view. I don't think that should have flipped. We've got a flip button as well, which flips the positive and negative normal. And so I think this is pretty useful for when you don't have a set of standard views that align with maybe some of the things you're trying to pick. So for example, I'll just exit out of here. Let's say I want to grab those like a line of nodes in here. There really isn't a standard view that I have that gets me a nice way to easily box select like these nodes. So the true view approach is really the best one here. And then you could just we've also exposed in TrueView the vector tool. So if you want to do something a little bit more advanced, we've got the full vector tool, which allows you to align this any which way you like. So here I've just got the edge of this thing kind of aligned with the screen, which is also kind of away from a standard view. And then finally, if you do find a view you like, so I say it was coordinated with the view cube, what I like to do is find a view that I like that is not standard, and then call this one my front, so align front to screen. So then basically all of my views are with respect to a interesting point in my model, which, with sort of squarish type models turns out to work pretty good. The other piece about TrueView that we put in there, do I have the old one up? No. Was the get set angles. So we did keep that as well. What that will do, and we've put that here on the view cube. So get set angles works in the same way. We changed the GUI around slightly, but it works exactly the same. So it gives you your X, Y, Z. It doesn't give you any fit information. You can, get the angles. You can set the angles, and this works the same as desktop. So if you are working in desktop, or you have a colleague that's working in desktop, and they want to pass you back and forth angles so that you can see the same part of the model that you're looking at, this is sort of a quick and dirty mechanism to do that. Okay, so that's TrueView. I think I'll just leave it there.
Hey guys, this is Kevin D'Souza, and I'll be spending the next couple of minutes talking about the brand new workflow that we have for creating and editing systems in HyperWorks. So this is a slide that I have. It lists some of the highlights of the workflow, and I'll be talking about each one of these in the demo shortly. So before I do that, I'd like to actually take a moment and have a quick look at the existing panel workflow that we have for creating systems in HyperWorks. The panels are really dependent on node selection to define your coordinate systems, irrespective of the system type that you wanted by node reference or by axis direction. You always needed to have nodes defined to create a system. And the second drawback here was the panels didn't really allow you to edit your system once they were created, and in most cases, you had to redefine the system entirely if you want to make a slight modification. So with that being said, in the latest version, if you go to the model ribbon and click on the systems icon here, you're taken to this guide bar. It's a pretty standard layout, and the first input that it looks for is the origin of the system. There are two ways that you can define the origin, either by picking the node or by location. So I'm going to stick with node and pick this node over here. So once you do that, there are a few things happening here. We draw the system manipulator on the screen, which lets you, visualize and define your system. And we also have this micro dialog here, which lets you do a few things. The first one lets you change the system type, Cartesian, cylindrical, or spherical. The second pull down lets you set the solver subtype. You can see that in the list here, along with the axis and plane information. We also have some solver information provided, and the convention, we try to maintain the convention relevant to the interface that you're in. So since I'm in OptiStruct now, you're going to see chord 1R, 2R, and so on. Let's say if I was in radios, you would be seeing frame, skew, and along with their respective plane and axis combination. So by default, the manipulator reacts to the mode or the solver sub mode that you have set, in the sense that if I want to create a chord 3R, which is defined by an x-axis with an xy plane, the handle is going to shift respectively. So now I'm going to shift back to chord 2R. The manipulator itself, it's pretty, it behaves in a way that we, all the other manipulators that we have in our product, in the sense that you can manually adjust these handles to define the orientation of your system. Or alternatively, you can, if you want to do this much quickly, you can hold Control and pick two locations and confirm to define your system. So I'm going to do that again. This time I'll be creating a node-based system. So if I create it, you can see that on the entity side that this new system is defined using the nodes that you picked on the handles, and I can confirm from here. The contexts are hooked to the new tools. If I say I want to, from the browser, if I want to create a chord 1C and pick an origin, it's going to come up with the chord 1C pre-populated, right? We support full undo redo. If you, let's say I want to switch back to the previous orientation that I had my manipulator in, I can hit Control Z and go back and retrieve the previous orientation that it was in. You can edit your systems. So we can pick a system and say edit system, and you're taken back to the context. And now let's say I want to align the Z-axis along this edge. I can make the modification and confirm. Can do the same with node-based systems as well. Let me align the Z along this axis and confirm. So the context itself allows you to convert your systems. So if I have a case where I want to convert my chord 1R to a chord 2R, I can directly go into the context and change the type, and we automatically do all the conversion for you and keep the orientation like the like it previously was, and you can confirm. There are a few other things on this micro dialog. You can quickly align your system to the global axis by clicking on this button. Wherever relevant, you can define an input system or an input reference system. Because I'm on a chord 2R, I can click on this button and define system 1 as my parent input system. And you can again check on the entity side that my chord 2R is now referring to an input system with an ID 1. We try to also remember this information. So if I further want to create more system entities, you have that information already pre-selected, and all the systems that you create from here on refer to that one parent system that you previously selected. In case you don't want this, you can always reset it and go back to the basic coordinate system. So last, in case you're a guy who does not care about solver conventions and you want full control over the manipulator, you can go to the full mode by clicking on this little button over here. This activates all the handles in the system, and clicking on the axis handle now enables you to pick or choose any of the plane handles that you want to work with. In this, let me say I want to align the y-axis along this direction and the YZ plane along this direction, and confirm. So because we use the manipulator on this particular workflow, you don't really rely on nodes anymore. So in case I'm working with geometry, I can easily switch to the location selector and use the snap engine to directly create a system at the center of this hole, for example. Clicking on the handles gives you access to more functionalities. So let's say I want to align my local x-axis along the global z here. So I can directly click on the Z button to align the local X along the global Z. I can do the same with the Z axis to be aligned along the global X, for example. I can flip direction of the vector or the axis by using this button, and you can click this, flip it. Right. So the beauty of the manipulator actually is you can probably do the same operation in multiple ways. So for example, if I wanted, or if you had a case where your system is aligned a little, you wanted the x-axis along the axis of this tube, you can directly go to the move tool and say, I want to rotate the x-axis of the system around, let's say 30 degrees, and you can get the orientation. Or you can also do this a little differently. You can create a system. Let me switch to XY and align the X handle along this geometric edge. So once I have my orientation, I can click on this button to reset the handle. So what this actually does is it forgets the snap, but you get to keep the orientation that this axis was in. And then you can go and pick the center again, flip and confirm, right? So you can define systems using node IDs. So let me quickly go to idle, pick these two nodes and do short IDs. So one neat trick that you can use is you can select the node that you want for your origin on the idle, and then go to system panel, system context, and we pre-populate the manipulator at the origin that you picked, and then say I want my X to be along the node ID 6112. So I can click on this button, which gives me access to advanced selection, and then I can input the node ID and confirm. So you can see here that we show the node that the handle is snapped to, and this is irrespective of the way you use the handle. Even if you manually move any of the handles, you get to see this information live on the screen so that you exactly know what you're doing. Right. So the last option, or the last method I wanted to talk about, is the possibility to define systems using global coordinates. So you can do that as well. So you can click on the handle here again, and let's say I want my origin to be at a particular coordinate, and I can use this on any of the handles that I have to, fully define my system properly, or any of the methods that I previously talked about. It gives you full control in the way that you want to define and orient your systems with the new workflow. So with that, I guess I've given a hopeful introduction to the new tool, and I'll pass it on to Chima, who will be talking about some of the great generic framework level enhancements and selection enhancements that we have made in the product. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Kevin. That was a good demo. Let me share my screen from my side to keep the ball rolling. Like Kevin said, I'm going to be talking about the selection updates we have to the selection infrastructure and a few other general enhancements we have. Okay, so first off, we have some enhancements to the face and edge selectors. This is the advanced selection by face and by edge, and also the explicit edges and faces selectors that you get in some tools. We've upgraded the infrastructure to support parts, and also we have an important performance boost in .1. They kind of go a little bit hand in hand. In this example I'm showing, I have a slice of a model that's pretty much almost impossible to work with in 22. Let me show you directly. So I'll show you a few different scenarios. I'm starting in a little bit of a fringe scenario. This is a model where I know in advance that we had a lot of trouble in the past. It has a lot of internal components inside here. It's a hex mesh with some cavities, and it has a lot of parts and components connected with mesh connected. So that's one of the parts where we were struggling in the past. So if I were to want to select nodes by face, so I'll use the default settings here just to show you this is 22. I have some angle, and as soon as I hover over this, you get your waiting cursor with a message of creating mesh topology. Now, in this particular model, you will have a hard time ever getting past this, especially for the top part of this model. Just want to show you the comparison with .1, where I do the same nodes by face using the same default settings. And you can appreciate how it's almost instantaneous on this model that was specifically very hard on 22. You can change the angle here using Alt or any setting, and it should be almost just as fast. On this side, still struggling over here. So I'll actually close this to save some memory on my small laptop here. And now I'll show you a model that's a little bit more realistic. So this is a model maybe you'd worked with before. It has also, assemblies of parts and components. I will switch here my show height selector to elements. We'll step just E for elements, and then I hold the Alt key to trigger the automatic, the on-the-fly by face selection. Here you can appreciate a little bit of a delay. That was kind of normal in 22. It's not too bad. It comes back, but it is there every time I hover over different parts. If I try to draw a window, it'll also take a little while. There, my faces are there. I release Alt and they get hidden since I'm in the hide tool. And then if I hold Alt again, you'll see the weight cursor again for a little while. This one is manageable, but it's there. Now I'll do the same in .1. I'm going to do D for show hide, E for elements, and then hold Alt for the faces selector. And I hope you can see through Teams how fast this was. It's almost instantaneous. Now I'm going to draw a box, which is normally much slower, and even that was pretty fast. Release Alt. I'm now seeing some of the internal components. I hold Alt again, and you can see how I'm immediately pre-highlighting and selecting edges and faces. Again, you can draw a little box, and it should be very fast. To release Alt, they get hidden. So that's the performance boost on the topo selector. We have also a couple of new options. Let me toggle to this model to show you. In this case, I'm going to do this. This model has geometry, so I'm going to do elements by face. And here, this is something you might have seen also before. So if I select a face over here that is bounded by geometry, and these are nodes that are associated to the geometry, then it doesn't matter how much you increase this break angle. Even if I go past 90, you cannot go past the bounds of the geometry. So this is something that you had to disassociate the nodes before to do this. Now we have an option here, ignore cat geometry. If you check this on, and it will ignore those. So now you can finally have mesh associated to geometry and select faces across associated boundaries. Now this one has another part here that still didn't go through. This is because this is in a different part. Now we're doing this on the parts and not on the components, as we're migrating to them anyways. So for parts, we do have an explicit option now. You can say ignore part boundaries, and then it will also ignore the boundaries. So you can combine both the geometry and the part boundaries to select across both. So these two new options are available now in .1. Okay. We have a few more goodies here. There's a new option. All node selector get this. And this is only accept the order node list. So special selectors that have node list as a selector. This is not yet supported, but it's coming hopefully soon. And this is a new option to create nodes on the fly. We heard from feedback specifically from people running custom tools and TCL scripts, where in the past you were able to hold the mouse button over some geometry to create nodes on the fly. Now you can do that with a right-click select option called Create Nodes on Snaps. So any node selector, when you activate this option, it'll turn on snapping. So you can combine select existing nodes. If you draw a box or click on existing nodes, they'll get selected as normal. But if you hover over snap points and click, you will create a temp node on the fly. So you can do that simultaneously. If you deselect nodes, any temp nodes that you just created with this tool, if you deselect them and they're unused, they will get automatically clear. So you won't be left with a mess of temp nodes if you're just clicking around. So that's available too in that one. We also have a new advanced selection method by plane. This is something that was actually missing. This was in the panels, but we had some challenges in the past with modality and focus on our manipulators and dialogues, but we were able to solve it finally, and we now have this method. So the same entities that support it should support it now in the new interface. By selecting the biplane, you get access to the plane manipulator, in this case the vector tool, and you can select entities that lie within a thickness of a plane, or you can switch this to normal to plane, which is basically a perpendicular direction. And then you can change the tolerance radius for this. So you select, this is basically like a cylinder selection. So it's kind of like plane and cylinder. So those both of those should be available. We also have a new plane manipulator that you may see popping up in some tools. So this is something that's now available from the infrastructure side for both internal and external tool developers. So if you have scripts or if you are using a scripted context, we have fully embedded this now into our selector of type plane. So you get access to the manipulator. Let me show that quickly. So let me make the screen big. One tool that I remember that uses it is the mirror tool. So now if I switch to the plane, again, because this uses the embedded plane manipulator. So now in the past, you used to select your plane, and then we would immediately just throw you to the vector tool. Now there is a more clear differentiation between a plane selector and a direction selector, in that the plane stays as a plane. So you get a sort of friendlier manipulator for planes. You get snaps on dragging, and you also get rotators that also have snaps, so you can snap and rotate. You also have access here to come on directions here. You can use your mouse wheel as well, since this is a spinner, to rotate the planes in one direction or in the other. If you do want the vector tool, you can still get it. By the way, you can toggle it if you want the frame or the full plane. Then you can also manipulate a full filled plane. Clicking this button will still bring you the vector tool. So if you need more precision, or you just want to define it using the locations, you can do that. They are connected, so you can still drag, rotate, and use the vector tool in tandem. And also, this one supports a finite mode, which is something we didn't have before. So this tool doesn't have it right now because this is an infinite plane. But if you do invoke this with the option of finite plane, you will get handles in the corners that will allow you to resize and will allow you to rotate in plane as well. And the resizing works like our other tools that draw rectangles. You can hold Shift for locking the aspect ratio. You can hold Control for resizing from the center, and a few other options there. So this is also something that you might see different in .1. We also have a new selection type for segments. So this is something that was covered, I think, in another GTA related to set segments. I just want to talk about some of these selection side stuff that we've done for the segment entity. So if I were to create a set segment with the confidence of our new performance here on faces, I'll go ahead and select faces. Let's say we want to add this one. Let me reverse here my segments. Okay. And let me quickly just create another one here. And let's do this one on the faces of this component. Let's flip them as well so that we can see them. Nice. So now I have two set segments here. You will get a new selector type called segments. It supports a lot of the things that we do for element selection. So you do get access to advanced selection modifiers like attached, adjacent, reverse, displaced. You can do reverse, you can do save and retrieve as well. So you have save and you can later retrieve it. We have element entity conversion as well. So you can select the segments, hit E for elements, and you will get the elements from it. Vice versa as well. You can select a bunch of elements and then switch to segments, and you will get the segments from them. Then you can switch to the sets, which are now also assigned to the letter S. So hitting S gives you sets, and it will show you the sets that those segments belong to. You can do certain things that you couldn't before with this, like selecting individual, segments. Selecting individual segments, hitting delete for removing them from any sets that they belong to. You can also organize them now. So they organize to, I'm going to select some segments, hit O for organize. You will see that the organize tool supports sets now. So now you can organize things into sets, including segments. I will choose the other set, hit play, and now I've changed these segments now belong to this other set. So almost fully feature selection for these. You also get advanced selection. So you get access to, let me exit this tool, segments. You have an array of things. You can select by face, by part, by plane, etc. for the segments directly. So if I were to do face and I reduce the break angle here, select a subset, then you will get there only the segments that are on that set, and you can delete them or organize them, whatever you need to do with them there. So that's there also in that one. And then finally, last but not least, with my last minute, we changed slightly the behavior of that Q key based on some feedback. So Q was that show ID behavior. So if I select Q to show some IDs, I think before we had that situation where it was unfortunately clearing selection. Now it's fully cumulative, so you can keep adding IDs across entities. Now I'll switch to elements, select a few here, hit Q, and they'll all show the elements until you hit Q with an empty selection or right-click clear IDs. That's the one that will do. All right, I think from my side, that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about today.